The other option is recorded in the cloud. Just do it locally. All right. You all ready, Freddie?
Yep.
I sent out a bunch of stuff. There's a whole – I'm not going to touch, just FYI, what Biden will reshape the nation's housing market, because I think that's too speculation, and I think that's also a concern.
Oh, listen to you now.
No, I really don't think we need to touch that because it's speculation.
We are on 840 WHAS, so this is Rush Limbaugh land.
Oh, is it?
It's Rush
Right.
Limbaugh land?
Is it?
How did I agree to get on this?
Did you not know that 840 WHAS, Rush Limbaugh? I mean, this is the land.
All right, let's get rolling here. Okay, stand by, everybody. Oh, I got to turn this off of there, though. They will go nuts.
I did get into a discussion with a friend the other day about who made worse comments, and I thought it was Limbaugh, but it was actually Don Imus.
No, he's dead.
I know. No, I'm just saying I had the wrong quote. Just two older white men who are,
All right. So let us
before we go live on 840 WHAS.
Yeah, here we go. Stand by, guys. Here we go. News Radio 840 WHAS. Good Sunday morning. Bob Sokoler and the Louisville Real Estate Show here with you up until the top of the hour. Joining us for today's show, Chuck Crosby, the Crosby Law Offices. They do great closings, wills, and a wide variety of other things. You can reach Chuck at 499-6360. Hiya, Chuck. Good to have you here.
Hello.
Also, Brad Lawler. Hey, good to see you. Brad Lawler, owner of Home Team Inspection Service. Their new number, make note of it, please, 844-411-TEAM. And they are phenomenal. They're the top home team inspection service in the country. And they hire vets, which we love, paying back to our vets, especially with this being this past week. Wednesday was Veterans Day. So thanks to all the vets and to you as well, Brad.
Yeah, indeed it was. Good morning to you. And thank you, all of our active and veteran military out there.
You got it. Also, my son Greg joining us from his car right now. And he's out working on a variety of our projects. Good to have you here, my son.
Good to be here.
And you can reach me, Bob Sokoler, anytime at 376-5483. That's 376-5483. All right, some news to start off with. We got a lot going on. Monday's announcement of promising COVID-19 vaccine test results prompted investors to get bullish on several real estate stocks. There was a surge in real estate stocks, notably within sectors of the market that have faltered during the pandemic. According to the Wall Street Journal, reported that Monday's vaccine news, the share prices of some of the country's biggest property owners were up more than 20% compared with a roughly 3% increase in the Dow Jones. Also, home sellers are going to stand to gain more equity this winter. I don't think the four of us are planning on selling anytime soon, but with low housing inventories and high buyer demand, home sellers are expected to continue to command higher home prices this winter. It's an unseasonable trend in the housing market, and sellers will have the ball in their court to speak, and they are more buyers than ever looking to buy their home. And finally, house hunters who see a home they would like to consider making an offer quickly on or risk losing out, they really need to get on the ball. Homes in this past October, sold 13 days faster than a year ago, an unseasonable trend, according to the new report from Realtor.com. Everybody's business continuing to move forward. Let's start with Chuck. How are things on your level?
We are busy as all get out.
When you say that, I mean, you're going from closing to closing. Is that how quick you're moving?
Yeah, pretty much. We're having, put it in, we're easily a third to half as much again as we were last year at this time. Normally this time of year, things start slowing down just a hair.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
Brad, how about yourself with the inspections?
Yeah, I would say our inspections have been robust. This past week, we actually sold out all available inspection slots. So it continues to be ahead of what we normally see this time of the year.
Wow. We had, in the past years, we would have people phone in with questions. Because we're doing this via our Zoom, I don't have that ability to bring the phone calls in. So what we've been doing is compiling questions for all of our contributors via email. So what we're going to do is I'm going to run some of these questions that have been piling up, and see what your thoughts are as we move forward and hopefully answer some questions that have been on the front burner. This one's coming in from Bill. He says, I fell in love with a home on the south side of Louisville, moved forward with buying it, scheduled to close in a week. But apparently while riding past the house recently, he realized that it was in the path of planes landing in Louisville. He wants to know, Chuck, can he back out of the contract? Anything you could contribute to that?
Well, was it disclosed that there's the problem? How high are they? Where's the airport? Is this something he knew or should have known? There's all kinds of things that play into it. I mean, granted, if you're by the UPS landing area at 4 a.m., you might know, but maybe they don't take off at 2 p.m. every day when he was there, and he was told, no, there's no planes that fly over here. But I'm betting that's something that you would know or should know.
There's no disclosure, though, for this. Nothing on our disclosure sheet that says, are you in the path of an airport?
No, but there are things like nuisances, and there would also be avigation easements filed with the county clerk and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I wonder, because we see neighborhoods that are built, next to train tracks, and so you may not see it or may not know it as a new person, especially with inventory.
But there's a train track there.
Yeah, you should know. Yeah. No, but I get that's what I'm saying. Like, let's put it situationally, inventory short. You're new to the area. You come in on a weekend. You know this. Your agent tells you there's urgency. You go to a neighborhood. There's a fence up, and maybe in the distance there's a train track, but you can't see it. No one says anything. You write the contract. You get accepted. You get through. You come back in town 3 weeks later, and you hear this train, and it's out of taste. Do you have recourse?
No, I really don't think so.
Okay. So in short, he cannot back out of the contract, is what you're saying?
No, probably not.
All right.
That falls under the stuff that, I mean, if it's within a certain height, okay, there can be issues. But if it's at that height, chances are you are so close to the airport that you really ought to have known that there's going to be planes overhead. Plus, what happens in the future if planes start coming in? Let's say that an airport is later built, or flight patterns
add the runway.
change. Yeah. I mean, there's that seems to strike me as you either knew or should have known. Though I can conceive of scenarios where there might be an issue.
So let me ask you a question, not only for this, for Bill, but for anybody else who wants to back out of a contract in general. What legal ramifications are they facing if they decide they just don't want to close?
Oh, well, you've got the usual. Generally, 3 different types of issues are going to come up. One, they can sue you for specific performance to actually go through with it, but that's not going to happen on a residential deal. Mm-hmm. They can sue you for the damages, which would be if I sell it to you for $100,000. It's an arm's length transaction, but the best I can do on the next sale is $80,000. Mm-hmm. Then there's a $20,000 damage they could go after. And then, of course, there's always commissions to the realtors that they can sue to enforce.
Got it. So just, Bill, hopefully that will help you to understand. You may want to reconsider talking about backing out. If you, by the way, are in need of wanting to see a replay of this show, you can go to LouisvilleAnswers.com. That's a redirect to our YouTube channel, and that you'll see, not only hear what we are doing, again, LouisvilleAnswers.com. And also, if you want to see what sellers are saying about us, head to LouisvilleSellersTalk.com. That's LouisvilleSellersTalk.com. All right, we go back to another question. Arnie says, I've got a new family with triplets, and we're moving into a new house. What are some of the health hazards I should be looking for to prevent my kids and family from getting sick? Brad, that's right up your alley. It's a good question, too.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think for small children, the dangers are anything that is below about 42 inches from the floor is the area of concern. So you're looking for any evidence of peeling paint or checkered paint, alligator paint, in older homes, built before, say, 78. You do have the risk of lead-based paint in there. home
Before
built
78, right?
yeah, before the 50s, I mean, you have a even higher likelihood of having that paint indoors. So those are things you definitely want to be cautious about. The other things that we see are we've had a few instances that we've been told that children have been burned, their hands have been burned by any of those metal grates that you would have in your floor, the heat registers, the supply vents that come in. If you have an opportunity to use a material other than metal, that might be good. There's wood ones that are available that don't transfer heat quite as much. The one big danger is make sure you know what temperature your water heater is set at. You really do not want it set much higher than about, with little kids, 125 degrees or so, 130 probably at the top end. We saw a house the other day that actually scalded one of my inspectors. It was 152 degrees. So, the water comes out extremely hot, and it will burn a child. So you want to be very careful with the temperature adjustments.
What about radon? That would be something else to make sure you test
Yeah.
for, right?
Yeah, you'd want to test for radon. In this area, again, I know I just had a conversation with the builder this week that, he thinks radon is a bunch of hooey, and he had a new house, had a high level of radon for his buyer, and he told the buyer, don't worry about it. All houses around here are high, but it's the leading cause of lung cancer for non-smokers. So if you've got a basement that your kids are playing in, you've got your workout equipment down there, just think about how much, exposure you have to a cancer-causing gas. If it's something that's relatively simple and inexpensive to mitigate, do it. But make sure you've tested your house. You know what your radon levels are in the house, because you don't want it down there.
So, Chuck, did you have a radon test? And Greg, did you have radon tests when you moved into your location?
Absolutely.
Do you remember what your level was?
It wasn't high enough to
Mitigate?
have anything done.
Yeah. How about you,
Yeah,
Greg?
we haven't done it at the new house yet. We haven't finished up the basement, but we're not even we'll get it tested after, but we're gonna have a radon mitigation system put in. We have a passive pipe. We know the area. We had a house right down the street, so we know the general area. But since we don't live or have a finished basement at the moment, our passive pipe will be good until we get the fan put in, and then we'll get it tested just to make sure that's below.
The reason I'm bringing that up in particular is because there are still conversations that the EPA, which right now has if it's 4.0 or above, their recommendation is to mitigate, that they may drop it. Brett, is it 2.7?
Well, I've heard as low as 2.5. I don't know. It's like everything else. That's been a number that's fluctuated a lot. But in Europe and Canada, it's 2.0. I don't know that we can get to those levels here with the systems that are available, because I think that mitigation guys will tell you that they can only kind of guarantee it down to about 2.5. So it's going to require extra mitigation to get below that point.
I can only imagine what that would mean in terms of an upheaval to a lot of sellers who had it under 4, but now having to go down to 2.5 or whatever, right?
Right. Yeah, and I don't know that there's any timing on it, so I don't know that it's imminent. Could it happen down in the future? Yes, it can. The other thing that I find interesting about radon mitigation is there's still a lot of companies that come in from out of town. They're not from here, so which means you can't, get the system service. They don't test after they've been installed. When I was at a, lovely home, very expensive, very large home this week, and they had actually mitigated, but they put the fan in the basement inside the house. So, all they're doing is you're creating a giant vacuum, and then just, if those seals aren't perfectly tight all the time, they're just pumping radon back into the basement. So
let me ask Chuck, protect me here. Brad, was that a company out of Michigan that put this in?
I do not know who installed it. There was no tag. There was no label on it. I don't know.
Okay, because we dealt with a company in Michigan that hires contractors here, but we had problems with this company, and they advertise like they're locally, and then it's actually they're in Michigan. They have no control. So, folks, be careful and aware. What I would tell you to do is check with your realtor or a realtor that if you're not working with anybody, if you're for sale by owner, to get a recommendation of radon companies that are reputable in our area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great advice.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Coming up in a couple of minutes, 10 must-do November projects. We'll take a little test here to see if any of us are in the middle of or having done that. We're going to take a break, and we'll see you on the other side. Here with us, we've got Brad Lawler, owner of Home Team Inspection Service. You can reach Brad and his team at 844-411-TEAM. Chuck Crosby, the Crosby Law Offices. They are phenomenal when it comes to doing closings, but he does a lot more, wills and a variety of other things. And as Chuck likes to say, if he doesn't do it, he knows someone who can do it. He's a great source. And you can reach Chuck at 499-6360. My son Greg is here with us, who does our marketing and photography and so much more. And you can reach me anytime, day or night, weekends as well. 376-5483 is my direct number. We are back in a moment on News Radio 840 WHAS. News Radio 840 WHAS, Bob Sokoler, the Louisville Real Estate Show, here with you till the top of the hour. Again, with us, Chuck Crosby, the Crosby Law Offices at 499-6360. Brad Lawler, owner of Home Team Inspection Service at 844-411-TEAM. My son Greg, who does our marketing and photography, and myself, Bob Sokoler, at 376-5483. Once again, thank you, Barbara Corcoran of Shark Tank fame. She's endorses us, but also as a mentor to me. So we talked about 10 must-do projects as we move forward here in November, things that we want to think about. And Brad and actually Chuck and Greg and myself will all kind of jump in here, and we'll go fairly quick, but stop me if you have any comments from any of you. Repair concrete cracks. Brad, just specifically, why now?
Yeah, you need to get it done before we get the frost heaves. You don't want water in there freezing, which is going to make the cracks larger and deeper and more difficult to fix in the future. So a little caulk now is going to save you a bunch of damage in the future.
Pruning trees, and after the leaves fall, that's also important. You don't want to hurt the trees. We're not going to hurt the trees, right?
Yeah, no, and this is an easier time because you're not dealing with all the weight of the leaves on them too.
Chuck, you ever install a programmable thermostat?
Yes, we did recently.
Okay. Did you use Nest? I know I use Nest. Brad, you're shaking your head.
I've got a Nest also.
Nest.
Yeah.
Greg
That's
did
what
Nest
Sherry got. Yeah.
Yeah, there's other products. Ecobee is a really good one out there for programming. And I always, every time we bring this up, I get on my high horse. Be careful what your setbacks are. I know Brad will tell you. You want to keep them within a couple of degrees. You don't want to have big crazy swings because it actually does more stress on the system. And if you have a geothermal unit and you're using a smart thermostat, make sure that your emergency heat is set properly, because I had an issue where I was spending $500 a month heating the house because of the smart, dumb thermostat.
Right.
So, and one quick tip on that is if you're going to change it, and they're fairly simple to do, and there's videos available, take a picture. When you take the cover off of your existing thermostat, take a picture of the thermostat where the wires are connected to what letter, right? Because if you ever need referencing to put it back or putting in the new one, this will help you.
And that's why you should probably spring for the one that's a little couple bucks more, that's got a good reputation, because they have really great videos and they walk you through. They say, first steps first, go shut off your power. Next step, take a picture. And they will literally step by step walk you through how to do it, or hire a professional. Make sure you just don't screw it up.
Then check
cost you more money.
Cost you more money. Check attic insulation. I think that pretty much is self-explanatory. This, I think, I have one, but I'm not sure. I've checked it recently. Ensure fire safety in the kitchen, right? We're using stovetops, all that stuff, more cooking occurring, especially Thanksgiving, and make sure you got a fire extinguisher. Brad, how often should we be checking that fire extinguisher?
Well, you want to check the fire extinguisher at least every 6 months, no less than every 6 months. So, if you get the kind that has the gauge on it, they'll have a tag to when they expire. They do have expiration dates on them too. So even though you get one at the local home improvement store, check it every 6 months, check the gauge. But when it gets to the expiration date, throw it away. Get a new one.
Okay, just get a new one.
So are we just looking at the gauge when it or every 6 months, just to make sure it's pressurized and it's not gone bad? Okay.
That's all you're doing. Make sure the pin is still in it too. Because if the pins, and I'll just tell you, I mean, I've seen this from experience. Sometimes when the pin's been pulled out, your kids might have had fun while you were gone,
Oh,
and they just hang it back up. But
Well, that was my real question
yeah.
when you said go, every 6 months go check it. I'm like, well, do you test it? Do you know? You take it
No,
outside, give it a quick,
no.
no, because
No.
once
just
you
making sure. I'm just making
well,
sure.
your kids might, but let them
Right.
play with the expired one, I guess.
There you go.
A lot of people are going to be hanging lights. That said, traditionally, Thanksgiving weekend marks the time when many Americans flip the switch. There's one simple benefit to hanging lights in November. Warmer weather makes the job more comfortable, but be careful in terms of extension cords and what you're plugging in. Too much power draw on a light switch, correct?
Yes, and you also want to make sure those lights are plugged into a GFCI outlet because they are susceptible for getting wet. Don't run them through a bedroom window and plug them into a non-GFCI circuit.
Got it. Ground fault
They call that
interrupted.
the Griswold. Is that
Yeah.
The Griswold effect? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So clean the dryer vent, seal the drafts, prep the pipes for winter. And that we're talking specifically, like, for example, I know my outside spigots, I want to drain the hoses and turn off the interior and let them drain out. Anything else you want to add to that on that, Brad?
No, keep the valve open. And I'm talking about the spigot. But yeah, you want to turn off the water shut-off valve on it, but open the spigot up so that nothing can freeze and burst the pipe in it. It's best if you've got frost-proof valves, but that a plumber's going to have to install those. If not, you could use a little bit of insulation over top of them. It also helps a little bit because your inside heat is going to warm that pocket up a little bit.
And finally, we're going to be using the fireplace more frequently, and I think it would be probably a good idea to check it, make sure there are no cracks, have a fire chimney sweep in. Anything else on that, Brad?
Yeah, so make sure that chimney sweep comes in, removes the creosote from it. Make sure that your trees are cut away. I still see a lot of houses with trees overhanging the chimneys. You definitely want to get that cut away because that will impact the draftability of the fireplace itself. Make sure the damper can be opened. Sometimes those are forgotten. They end up getting rusted a little bit if you're not paying attention. You start the fire and then realize you can't get the damper open.
Got it.
So do that before you light any fire in your fireplace.
Smart tips. Hopefully you made taken a chance to review. If you want to see these again or hear them again, go to LouisvilleAnswers.com and you can watch the video replay of this show. Back to some of the questions we get into. Jamie says she's having a problem with the house she just sold on this, Chuck. On the disclosure, she wrote that the old roof leaked and it was replaced last year. Then apparently they closed 3 months ago, and the buyer is now threatening her with a lawsuit saying that she misrepresented the problems with the roof. So she's wondering, does she have a problem if she's disclosed that they had a roof and that the old roof leaked and it was repaired?
Well, I mean, that sounds like a disclosure. The question is, what are they claiming she didn't tell them about?
She doesn't say this, but I would presume it's leaking again. So
yeah, I mean, if she said it leaked and it was replaced, well, if it was replaced like 5 years ago and it had leaked since, then that's not a complete disclosure. But if it was repaired and hadn't leaked since the repair, well, then maybe she did disclose it properly. Either way, indicating that it had been changed would suggest to me that somebody ought to have looked at this.
Which is where we go with the next question. And oh yes, Brad, here's it coming. So would that fall on the shoulders of the inspector looking at the roof to determine if there was any leaking going on at the time of closing? And then Chuck, listen to his answer because I'm coming back to you on a follow-up thought. Go ahead on that, Brad.
So could it be the fault of the inspector? I'm going to say unequivocally, maybe not. The inspector's going to do the inspection at a particular moment in time. So if it's raining, a roof inspection looks different. You're only going to be able to see probably the inside, the underside of the roof from the attic, if you can gain access to it. On a sunny day, of course we can walk on the roof, we can check it closely, but we can't see water coming in on the other side. So we're looking for evidence of moisture. We're looking for evidence of repairs, and any of those things that are found would be included in the report. And it should have pictures supporting whatever the inspector is actually documenting for the report purposes. So are roof leaks sometimes missed? Yeah, it's probably not as common as you'd think. But a lot of times what happens is when we find the evidence of the roof leaks, evidence of the repairs, and you say, hey, get a roofer out to further evaluate, that never takes place. And then you find out in the springtime when the rains really start that there is a bigger problem and nobody followed up on it.
And Chuck, you are fond of saying that if you've closed and there's no rain and then all of a sudden we get into a rainy season, what's the rule of thumb for the new owner of the house for being able to go back to the seller and make a claim against the seller?
Well, it's when you knew or should have known. If you go through and the roof looks clean and the inspector doesn't come up with anything, or the roofer that you had inspected doesn't come up with anything, and then it starts leaking, well, obviously your time is going to run from when you knew or should have known. Now, if it starts leaking 3 years down the road, I don't know that you've got much of a claim. But if it's right afterwards, that really does suggest that maybe somebody didn't mention something, unless there was some event like a hailstorm or something that might have caused the issue to arise.
Okay, so hopefully we've covered that. One final question in about 2 minutes that we've got left. Arden is a builder here in the area and figured that we sell a lot of homes. What are buyers looking for? What are the most popular new construction floor plans? I know Greg just built a home and it's wide open. Would you say that that's probably the biggest thing that millennials are looking for?
Yeah, but we're seeing, honestly, we're also seeing it kind of come back to a little bit more. People with COVID, want a little bit more privacy. So open isn't always the best in some of the new floor plans. We see some of our buyers. But yeah, I mean, if you've got young kids, everybody, you want to be able to see them. It's a nice thing. That's why it's nice to work with a custom builder, not so much production builders, because you can opt out to really customize what type of floor plan works best for you, rather than if you go to one of these bigger homes, not that they're not great, and if the floor plan works for you, great, but they have 4 or 5 floor plans, and this is what they're going to build, and you can pick your finishes, but not necessarily the layout and what may work for you. So just make sure you know who you're working with.
Yeah, I think that's a good point also, is to check with a Better Business Bureau, the Home Builders Association, and that's what their old name was. They've got a new name, the Home Builders Association, that they've been going with the past couple of years, but essentially these are builders who are licensed through the Home Builder Association of Louisville.
They're backed with warranty and all that kind of good stuff. It's you definitely want to go through the channels. Don't just pick a random builder. Go look at, we show our home to prospective buyers all the time for our builder, to let them see the finishes, take them through all the old homes, get word of mouth, all that kind of good stuff.
All right, just a reminder, coming up on next week's show, 10 house smells you should never ignore. That ought to be interesting. We want to thank our folks here, Chuck Crosby, the Crosby Law Offices at 499-6360. Thank you, sir, for being here.
We will see you next time.
You betcha. Brad Lawler, owner of Home Team Inspection Service at 844-411-TEAM. Thank you, Brad, for being here.
Thank you.
My son, Greg, who does a great job for everything he does, our promotion, marketing, and so much more. And you can reach me anytime, 376-5483. If you want to read about our reviews, go to LouisvilleZillow.com. That's LouisvilleZillow.com. All right, we're out of time. We'll see you next Sunday on News Radio 840 WHAS. All right, so here's what's going to happen. I'm going to end this show and then dial back in again. I'll start it back up again, okay? So
okay.
We'll start meeting. So I'll reach your... And Greg, while we're doing this, can you switch over to your other mic, the regular microphone? Because there's a lot of echo coming in from